What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
Morning to the AM News here on the AM show. In our very first story, the Ghana Police Service has interdicted 4 police officers who assaulted some residents of Tamale over illegal electricity connections. The security operatives abused the victims in Zujung, Lamashegu and Nakbanzu on Monday, September 20th. Here's the police statement signed by Acting Director of Public Affairs ACP Kwesi Ofori. Okay, and this is what it says. 4 police officers interdicted for unprofessional conduct. Number 1, the police administration has with immediate effect interdicted 4 police officers working with the Tamale Regional Police Command following the alleged assault of some persons in Tamale in the northern region today, Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. That was yesterday. They were assigned to assist NEDCO VRE officials to arrest some alleged persons involved in illegal power connections. The officers will face a service inquiry subject to the regulations of the Ghana Police Service. Processes have commenced to identify the victims for the necessary medical assessments and assistance, and we apologize unconditionally to the affected persons and the general public. It's signed by Kwesi Ofori, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Acting Director General, Public Affairs, and that's that story there. Moving on, the director of the West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, Professor Gordon Awandare, is warning that the fast mutating COVID-19 virus could necessitate multiple vaccinations after every 6 months. This is despite the government's struggle to meet its target of inoculating 20 million people by the end of 2021. All of Ghana's 3 waves of COVID-19 have been driven by different mutations of the virus, as recent studies establish that the available vaccines do not provide full protection against newer variants. Professor Awandare believes there may be a need for multiple vaccinations.
No, because this virus is changing and quite rapidly, it means that the way we deal with it is going to be more similar to how we deal with influenza or flu, which is that every year or every few years, you have to revise the vaccine. You have to remake the vaccine to account for the variation in the virus that's in circulation. Every year, a new virus strain comes around, or every 2 years. Then you have to sort of edit your vaccine to match the new one. So we can envisage that for COVID-19, we're going to be doing the same thing, that every year or maybe even every 6 months, you may need to go and get a booster, you know.
Scores of residents of Agape Top in the Ghana Central Municipality of the Greater Accra region have been forced to seek refuge in makeshift structures after their homes were taken over by floods. Roads in the community were also flooded, making it difficult for the residents to access other parts of the capital. Now they want government to construct roads and drainage systems to help ease their situation. Mamiesi Thompson was in the community and now reports.
The
sad story of 50-year-old Mamin Kran. She spent her entire life savings to put up this apartment to house herself and her 4 children. She's operated this tabletop provision store to help with her upkeep and that of her children for many years. But that story completely changed last week after heavy rains. When it rained, we couldn't have access to the house because of the flood. All my belongings are destroyed.
Obi autumn provisions. You know the just say.
We need government to construct the drains. She's been forced out of her home and now taking shelter in a kiosk after her apartment was taken over by floods. Now the rains have taken over my house. I am currently perching in a kiosk. Bathing has even become a chore. My children now live with friends.
28. It was 17 years.
Her business almost collapsed after losing almost everything in the floods. Half of the food items I sell is spoilt. She's one of many who have had their homes flooded in the Agape Top area a week after the rains. 54-year-old trader Agnes Sam and her neighbor Ejase lost all of their belongings to the floods.
The
volume of water that entered our house was so much. Now I don't even know what to do. The rains have destroyed my life savings.
About 5 feet roofing level.
The waters rushed in with such force and broke down my walls, forcing its way into my hall and bedroom. In the next minute, my whole hall was flooded.
Many homes are in water, whilst roads in the community have been left unmotorable. Reverend Charles Kumson is one of the opinion leaders in the community.
Road here, usually the water will pass here so that the one down here will be reduced, but the people in this area have also blocked here, so the road, the water cannot go, and this is only the escape route when the place is flooded, where the other trucks and cars can use to their various homes, and then the community down there.
Now, the OT region has experienced a total overhaul of its 8 MMDCEs following the release of the list by the local government minister last Sunday. What exactly has accounted for this? While some residents think it is because the former MMDCEs did not champion the cause of their various districts, others think government did not get its first team right and is seeking to correct that mistake with this new set. The New Patriotic Party's first vice chair for the region, Kofi Adjei team, who was a 2-term DCE for Kajebi, has been providing some explanations. There's more in the following report by Peter Senu.
Release of the list of MMDCs across the country, we have seen protests and some disturbances. But here in the OT region, it is peaceful, but there is loud silence among party faithfuls who wouldn't even want to go on record. We have been speaking to Adjei Kofi Ntim, a former DCE for the KJB district and also now the first vice chairman for the MPP in the region. I have been speaking to him and asking him a few questions about what he made of the complete overhaul of the MDCs here in the T region and the way forward for the party at large. What do you make of this complete overhaul?
I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, some experience is required in administering the districts properly. It would have been good if the committee has seen the need to retain some of them. But if in the wisdom of the committee we want to give the opportunity to others, I think there is nothing wrong with it.
It's not an indictment, first on the party and on your appointees not to have done so well to merit a second term.
Oh, no. No, not at all. Some of them have really graduated up. The Central Regional Minister, for instance, was a district chief executive in Swedro or something, a lady. She's not the regional minister. And so if the government in the same wisdom thinks that it should be replaced, so be it. The opportunity to do a second time or second term was not given to me on a silver platter. It came out of hard work. And that is not to suggest that those who did not have the opportunity to serve the second time did not work hard enough.
Let's talk about the work of the committee in the region, at least for which you are the first vice chairman. What do you make of the quality of work done? Did they do a meticulous job?
I believe that they gave us the best.
Right.
Instead of arguing and challenging and demonstrating, let us see what we can do to support them and assist them to excel, because this administration is a very difficult thing. They all have to put their hands to the wheels to make them successful.
Breaking the 8 and the performance of the MPP in the Oti region. In fact, the only seat you had, you lost it. But what happened?
Our inability to win a seat in the region is so disgraceful, and it is not a thing anybody is proud about. But there were good reasons why we didn't get any seat at all. Because the regional leadership itself, they didn't do many things right.
Of which you are part?
Yes.
And chairman of the Bono Regional Peace Council, Reverend Father William Tre, is worried about the growing chieftaincy and land disputes in the region. He says 8 out of the 19 paramount areas in the region are without substantive chiefs, a situation he says is contributing to the slow development of the communities. Speaking at the International Peace Day celebration in Sunyani, organized by the Bono Regional Peace Council, Reverend Father Tre therefore proposed a regional dialogue for all stakeholders to consolidate the peace and sustainable development of the region. Precious Semevo has more.
The 2021 International Peace Day celebration in Sunyani by the Bono Regional Peace Council was under the theme Recovering Better for an Equitable and Sustainable World. It attracted stakeholders in the region, including religious leaders, students, security services, and the general public. The global celebration is aimed at strengthening the ethics of peace, promote solidarity for building a peaceful and sustainable world. In his address, the chairman of the Bono Regional Peace Council, Reverend Father William Tre, said the huge number of chieftaincy and land litigation is a worry to sustainable peace and development, aside from violent extremists.
The numerous chieftaincy disputes in the Bono region is also a major threat to peace and security and must be tackled. Currently, out of the 19 paramountcies, 8 are in dispute and do not have substantive chiefs. This is not good for the peace and growth of the region. It is therefore important for all stakeholders, such as the Regional House of Chiefs, to partner with the Regional Peace Council in dealing with these disputes. In this regard, the Regional Peace Council is proposing a regional stakeholders dialogue on peace, security, and development of the region, and to come up with a roadmap that will consolidate the development of the Bono region.
Meanwhile, Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuah-Yeboah says government, in its quest to sustain the peace in the country, will ensure the rule of law prevails regardless of who is involved. He's been speaking at the International Peace Day celebration in Sunyani.
You cannot have peace without rule of law. However, peace is an enemy to the rule of man. Therefore, as a state, if we begin to ensure that the laws of the state are obeyed, and for that matter, those who go against the state laws are also punished, then actually we can have proper peace. Many a times, when an attempt is made to ensure that rule of law takes its course, we hear a lot of comments, some of them positive, some of them negative. But I want to state unreservedly that so far as the Attorney General's office is concerned, and in our quest to ensure that peace prevails in our country, we will not relent in our effort to ensure that rule of law prevails, no matter who is the person involved in that activity that will be prosecuted or be taken to court.
And that's it for the AM News here on the AM Show. The show continues. We get into the newspapers with Israel Laye and myself.
All right, so you're welcome to the AM Show once again. And Nimwa, good morning.
Hi, Israel.
To you.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, great.
How are you too?
I'm well. So shall we get into the newspapers?
Yeah, especially because you're going to use forever to review the graphics.
Oh, not to worry. I don't think I'm going to do that. Okay. But there's some interesting stories in the Daily Graphic that I'd like to share with you. The first one has to do with the front page story. BOG NIB probes 656 ATM cards. You know the story that came out that there was a man who was busted with 656 ATM cards traveling through the Kotka International Airport. So it's involving 9 banks, the 656 ATM cards. It turns out that of the 9 banks that are involved, 8 of them, all the banks are domiciled, are Ghanaian banks, except 8 of them have their headquarters in Nigeria. So one of the banks is a wholly owned Ghanaian bank, while the remaining 8 banks operate in the country but have Nigerian origins. So the Bank of Ghana, NIB, National Intelligence Bureau, and EOCO apparently has also been mentioned. They'll be working on getting to understand what is happening. So explaining the investigation process, Mr. France, who's with the Bank of Ghana, he said the FIC and EOCO would also determine whether the ATM card had been used for any financial transactions. We'll support the investigative team with the relevant aspects of the law to help them prosecute this case. So during interrogation, this man, the suspect, Aminu, claimed during interrogation that 132 of the cards were his. And that he collected them from his extended family for his business. He said the rest of the cards were for his business partners in Dubai. According to the suspect, he was a businessman who plied his trade in Dubai, China, Nigeria, and Ghana. He has already denied any links to fraudulent activities. And Aminu also had in his possession $12,000 and a list of the PIN numbers of, or the pins of some of the ATM cards. So it's a story that's...
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
He said how many are his?
132.
I see, wow. Yes, yeah. Okay, right.
All right, on page 5, Sudanese government foils coup. Tunisian president vows, you know there's a coup in Sudan. Attempted coup was foiled. EcoBank, Tunisian president vows new electoral code. Why was I saying EcoBank? Because they have an advert.
Advert, yeah, I was wondering.
Okay, and also in the Daily Graphic, debate at UN session kicks off. We're expecting President Akufo-Addo to address the UN General Assembly today. Liberal Party narrowly wins Canada's election. So Justin Trudeau's party, he called an election. He said he wanted a sort of referendum on how the COVID-19 pandemic was being handled by Canada. And he was hoping that it was going to give him a majority in Parliament. It turns out that, well, he won, but he didn't get the majority expected win. And there's an opinion on page 10, Elizabeth Ohene. It says, don't annoy the French. It must be interesting to get into it. High enrollment of girls in school, good for sustainable future. That's very true. Then we move on to page 16, consolidate the peace, speakers advocate. And this was as a forum to mark this year's International Day of Peace in Accra. And this was at the by the National Peace Council. Well, here it was broadcast live here on the JoyNews channel. And CPP resurrects Nkrumah on birthday, resurrects in quotes. And Shreponi disturbances, 12 people have been arrested. So there's something interesting about this Shreponi story.
Okay.
So we're told, yesterday I spoke with the police in the northern region, and they indicated that yes, the 12 people had been arrested. And it was after they watched viral footage of the disturbances. Then subsequently later on in the day, well, the aspirant who lost, one of the people who was hoping to be named as MC, he came out to say, essentially they were his supporters, and he came out to say that the people should be let go. It's an internal party matter. They should deal with it at the party level.
Okay.
And there was apparently a long meeting. After that long meeting, the suspects were granted bail. And then subsequently we heard that, hey, he had been rearrested. I think it's a new IGP at work.
It sounds like a Jackie Chan movie.
They had the meeting, and then at the local level they said, okay, let's release
We can handle it as and then big boss is like,
big
nah,
boss said, hey, who told
it's
you
not
so?
happening.
So
Wow,
anyway,
emotional roller coaster.
I know. Don't undermine the rule of law. Professor Jampo advises political parties. And on page 19, MPP and DC constituencies commend President for nomination of chief executives. Right? And the President addressing the UN General Assembly is on page 20. The President Akufo-Addo is also likely to reiterate his clarion call on the developed world to see the urgent need to ensure a fairer distribution of COVID-19 vaccines. Indeed, whilst he's pushing out there for a fairer distribution of COVID-19 vaccines in Ghana locally, we're also trying to get to produce our own vaccines.
Indeed, and we'll have that conversation, yeah.
I
find it very interesting, though, this clarion call for the fair distribution of COVID-19 vaccines.
Yeah.
Some people are sitting in their country.
Yes.
They have funded their research. Yes. They have funded their production of the vaccine. They have done their trials. And then you, somewhere in another, you're expecting a fair distribution of these vaccines, which you did not invest in.
Wait. We're not saying that give it to us for free. We're saying that we're going to buy it. Allow us to buy some. Because, see, with this COVID-19 pandemic, you can't think that you can handle the situation in your country alone. Because they say, no country, the world is a global village. We interact. So you can't seek to solve the problem all by yourself in your country and forget the rest of the world.
I don't think it's forgetting the rest of the world, but obviously these countries are taking care of themselves first. And then if there's some left, then we get some. I think it's
we're buying. You see, the problem is they are buying more than necessary. So they're buying, some of the countries have bought like 5 times what they need.
I get that.
Yes.
But I also think that it's entitled for us to sit down and say, well, we want a fair distribution. Well, produce your own vaccines. You've had malaria in Africa for how many years?
We're working on it.
And Africans like that. We won't do anything about it, but suddenly, we have mouths to say, well, and do we even have the money? Because most of the vaccines that we've got have been donated.
Yeah, but we had the money. We've been wanting to buy, and we've bought some, actually.
Yeah, we've bought some, but most of it has been donated. So I'm not sure about this, clarion call for fair. I would listen to him and see how he puts it, because if not for anything at all, Uncle Nana definitely knows how to spin the whole thing nicely. So let's listen to how he puts it. I'm sure he won't sound entitled, and he'll lace it with doses of French and perhaps German, to show his bourgeoisness and all of that. So we'll see how he puts it, but I think, yeah.
All right, cool. Now, diasporans...
Wait. Does it mean I won the argument?
No, you haven't.
Oh, okay. Because the way you said, it sounds like you conceded.
No, I haven't conceded. I still think that, yes, we have to work on manufacturing our own vaccines. That's true. But that's why we have, in this world, there are some places that are producing some stuff that we take to other places. Okay, competitive, we call it competitive advantage.
What is Ghana producing that we take to other places?
Gold, cocoa.
Cocoa is not even something you should even talk about.
We also produce human resources.
They come and take the cocoa and then come and sell us the chocolate, because they do almost everything better than we do.
We're producing something.
And even the gold, have you seen the way it was distributed?
We even drill oil.
Even the oil, did you see the shares and how much we actually... okay, it's okay.
Yeah, but you haven't won anything. I don't know what your point is. Every part of this world has something that the other doesn't have that they need. That's why we have trade. Yes.
And everybody has something that they could make good use of.
Even China comes to Ghana for stuff.
Yeah, China, I was going to say, well, never mind what I was going to say. I'm going to get in trouble if we continue. So let's see.
Be measured in utterances to consolidate peace. That's the chief imam saying that. Oh, and then the Fix the Country movement gets coverage on in the Daily Graphic.
In the Daily Graphic, yeah, because they usually don't get...
The first demonstration...
Didn't get, yeah, okay.
But this one, the Takari demonstration got. And it's by Doche Kobla Aklobotu. Moses Aklobotu. I don't know why he wants to put Doche Kobla. Okay.
Oh, you know him.
Yeah. Moses Aklobotu. Okay, and then on page 26, fighting examination malpractices, 2 busted over WASI fraud. You know, remember when the story came, Wyke was saying, oh, it wasn't a leakage.
I interviewed them on desk, so yeah, I remember.
Okay, so Wyke announced that it had rescheduled the physics and business management papers after detecting a possible leakage of the questions on social media and on rogue websites prior to the exams that were due last Wednesday. And then, so in the Daily Graphic interviewed the head of Wyke's legal department, Reverend Victor Brew, who said information picked up indicated that Jima, one of the guys who has been arrested, supplies questions to other operatives such as Vasco Links, Professor Dito Dito, Eminent Link, operated by Anthony Techi, One Love, Ophelia, Honorable Marcos, Santiago Beacon, Mr. Lukin, and some schools in the country. Really?
Wow.
So it's like it's a whole industry.
It's a whole cartel.
He gave the assurance that the police and Wyke security operatives were continuing with investigations into activities of other exam fraudsters to bring them to book and make them face the full force of the law. I mean, but it's interesting that there are all these people, and the names that they have, Professor Dito Dito, means that as for Professor Dito Dito, when he gives you the question, Dito Dito.
Yep.
3 robbed woman of 29,000 cedis at Apenkwa. A 33-year-old woman who was last Monday attacked and robbed of 29,000 cedis by 3 suspected robbers at gunpoint at Apenkwa near La Paz in the Greater Accra region. The incident happened at about 3 p.m. while the victim was returning from a bank near the Apenkwa traffic light. It is currently not clear if the woman is a staff or a customer of the bank. Okay, missing pregnant woman found without baby. This is another
very
intriguing story.
Yeah.
So the expectant mother whose pregnancy was in an advanced stage at the time she went missing was found near a church building without the pregnancy or the baby. And then there's also this link about some calls after the woman went missing by some people who were asking for ransom and all of that. So the lady has been found. The baby, they said they can't find. She's no longer pregnant and they can't find the babies.
So, okay.
Yeah, but the questions, because I've been doing some checks myself, and she was sent to the Axim Government Hospital. I want to believe that at the Axim Government Hospital, they would have examined her to find out if indeed it looked like she had recently delivered or she was actually pregnant. But my checks suggest they didn't see any such thing.
Oh.
Yes. But anyway, I'm sure the police will come out to I mean, whatever they found. But yes, it's an intriguing story, and that's why I'd want us to get some more on this story. But the family is also saying that, yes, we knew her to be pregnant.
And she apparently wrote on a piece of paper that she gave birth at an unknown place and the kidnappers took her baby. That's according to the Daily Guide.
Yeah, but how do kidnappers deliver you and take your baby away?
And obviously your body will show signs of having, I mean, okay. Okay.
So yeah, we need to get
to the bottom of
Okay, so move on to some other stories. We go to page 38. Government Dubois Museum Foundation signed MOU. BOG pledges more support for youth businesses. East tax burden on telcos. That's the Chamber of Telecoms speaking, they've made a passionate appeal to government to reduce the tax burden on the operators to help stimulate growth and increase their contributions to national development revenue. The chamber believes the sector has been overburdened with taxes, making it difficult to promote digital inclusion and economic growth. It said a reduction in the number and rate of the taxes would result in increased investment to retool, expand network, and create more jobs for the youth. This Chief Executive Officer of GCT, Dr. Kenneth Eshigbe, making the appeal at the acknowledged forum by the chamber in Accra. And yes, they have a point. I think that the telcos are overburdened when it comes to taxes. But government also feels that, well, you're making a lot of money. And so let's go after let's get some of the money. But it's not always the case that you just go after the taxes, because some of the revenue that the companies make, they're supposed to reinvest. But if you're taking a lot of it in taxes, then as Dr. Keneshigbe is saying, it makes it difficult for them to plow back and become innovative and do more. All right, discard myths about COVID-19, public health specialist, and says, how can COVID-19 vaccine make you impotent? So this is some of the things that people are saying about the vaccine. What I actually understand is that the COVID-19 itself, the virus, could render you impotent.
But again, that's like 1 in a million, one in a... Yeah. But I mean, I can imagine how men feel as soon as you mention the word impotence. It's like, so.
Company ownership register be ready 2023. That's the finance ministry saying that. And there's a conversation about beneficial owners. The beneficial owners are, therefore, the real owners and beneficiaries of businesses, and we need to know who these people are. A lot of the time people front for companies, and then the real owners of the businesses, you may find out maybe politicians, politically exposed persons, and people who shouldn't really be involved in business. Media outlets must avoid engaging quack counselors, help transform GWCL into world-class company. That's the minister saying that. Abdul Samed wins Otsajifo criterium, that's in sport. GFA charges Ash Gold officials for match manipulation. And this is so these are, it has to do with some match, so a match that was played. And the videos went viral, where the two teams were accused of playing a match of convenience after footage of the match went viral on social media, as it showed what looked like 2 deliberate own goals scored by Inter-Allies defender Hashmin Musa in the 7-0 win for the home side, Ash Gold. The 24-year-old player came from the bench in the 34th week fixture in Obuasi and twice put the ball into his own net within 12 minutes before being substituted just before full time. Later, Musa admitted in an interview that he deliberately scored 2 own goals in order to foil an attempt at match fixing from his own team.
Wow.
Spillage unlikely as water levels drop in Burkina dams.
That's good news.
That's some good news. So the yearly flooding of northern Ghana as a result of the spillage of the Bagrid and Kompienga dams in Burkina Faso might not happen this year, after it emerged that the levels of the 2 dams have dropped ever since authorities in Burkina Faso warned about the imminent spillage of excess water from the dams.
Israel.
So yes.
Israel.
Will be spared,
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yes.
All right, so we actually have footage of, we actually have footage of the Inter-Allies Ash Gold game and that interesting match that I was talking about. Let's watch that. Oh, see that?
And the guy just got his own.
Yes. See. Okay. Okay, so this was the guys defending, but the own goals came subsequently, and it's so obvious. It's so obvious
like
that, yes, he's going to played it into his own net.
Like, is it that he forgot?
No.
Okay.
That's what he was explaining. That he was he had to do that because it was match fixing. But if you see all the goals that were scored, you find out that
they all look
something
suspicious.
very, very, very wrong. All right.
Wow, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Thank God for that. Let's move on to the Ghanaian Times.
No, but this was it. You see, in this, when I was reviewing this story, it got to a point where you took like 5 or so minutes to rant about the UN General Assembly.
All of a sudden, the sound is really bad, so I can feel like you're talking, but I can't actually hear it. The Ghanaian Times this morning on the front page: police hunts for suspects in robbery of woman's 29,000 Ghana cedis. 12 arrested in Tripoli. Fix the country demo hit secondary Takrade. And how Akumsin hands over church hall to Kaswa Methodist Church. Okay, let me look for stories that Israel hasn't done. Trade Minister reiterates private sector role in national development. Zuma fails to appear in court as arms deal trial resumes. Afghan girls' school ban will be un-Islamic. Interesting. Okay.
That's the Pakistani Prime Minister.
Should reparations be paid to victims of the evil transatlantic slave trade? Oh, that's a good question. Okay. From Jehu to Dumbuya, anatomy of coups. Interesting. Okay. Lots of announcements and stuff. Don't rely solely on petroleum revenue to fund free SHS. So the government has been advised not to do that by civil society groups, chiefs, workers, religious leaders, and representatives of security agencies. So they met and had a conversation there. Ghana bagged $6.5 billion in oil revenue from 2011 to 2020. Make Africa your home. That's good. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to talk. But $6.5 billion is a lot of money in 9 years. And we have this, and yet we're in so much debt. So I'm sure the economists, will have, depending on which side of the political, whatever they stand, they'll have a lot of different explanations for that. Make Africa your home. Why? President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has urged the African diaspora to follow in the footsteps of W. Du Bois by making Africa their home and contributing to the development of the continent. Again, why? What's in it for them? That's the question. We ourselves in Africa, is it our home? Before we
treat them better in
Africa. Than I know.
They won't face racism and all that.
No, they won't. And we'll be very nice to them and give them great tax reliefs and all of that, which we won't give to our own people, so that our own people can actually develop businesses. And when a member of opposition
have you requested a tax break and you've not been giving us a business?
I've heard. Ghanaians urge not to take peace for granted. Oh, there's a full-page employment opportunity if you're looking for work. Work. Okay. ADB board inaugurated, urged to remain focused on agric. How Akumsin hands over church hall. Hey, Sister Hawa. Church hall to Kaswa Bethel Methodist Church. So this gesture was in line with her commitment to give back to the church the good things the Lord God has bestowed upon her. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Nice. Very, very nice. Goyle's new board to focus on improving shareholder investment, take advantage of innovations in fintech industry. Second Deputy Governor urges entrepreneurs. Rwanda disqualified from Africa Volleyball Championship for fielding ineligible players. Okay. I won't answer questions on my future. Ronald Koeman won't answer any more questions about the future after Ronald, somebody's injury time. Coleman, thank you, Gomez. Injury time header rescued a point for his poor Barcelona side against Granada on Monday. Okay, well, that story is on page 30. He's a log lifter, Ion Bibi, after his historic lifts. He looks like a lifter. Do you want to say anything?
No.
Okay. Log lifting champ gets big ovation in Burkina Faso. So these are two different stories, the log lifting and the Coman story. Okay. Ghana beats Cameroon in Aisha Buhari Cup. Aisha Buhari Cup. Oh, that's very interesting. I'm here to win trophies. This Kotoko new coach is talking a lot. Hopefully, you can follow up all the talk with some action. Clefet Demeted, CH Chips compound abandoned. I don't really see a chips compound. I see blocks, so not sure about that. I think it looks as if they started work and they didn't finish. That's it for the Ghanaian Times, and Israel is allowing me to get into the daily guide.
Oh, please do.
Horror in Takrade, and we brought you that story already. Kaswa?
How the Daily Guide may also want to take the story, and if they're highlighting some of the issues we're talking about.
Okay, 1 second. I'll come to that in a second. Kaswa killer teens trial set after legal vacation. Okay, so the kidnapped woman, this is according to Daily Guide, she was said to be pregnant. They found her in Axim. When they found her, well, she's a twin. She was in a state of blankness. It goes on to say that the woman looked traumatized, couldn't speak, wrote on a sheet of paper that she gave birth at an unknown place, and further wrote that the kidnappers took her newly born baby away. So apparently a carpenter who operates from opposite the Jehovah's Witness Church building saw the fair woman smeared with clay crossing the road around 8 a.m. Mistook her for a mentally ill person, but later some of his apprentices saw her near some flowers around the church building shivering, so they got closer to her to find out what was wrong with her. So that continues, Then the husband, they got in touch with the husband, then they went to the Axim police station, and then later to the Axim government hospital where the woman is on admission for treatment. She's reported to have written, like I said, that the babies have been taken away. So it doesn't actually say anything about whether it was confirmed. Yeah. Okay, international stories on page 5. Hundreds more evacuated as La Palma lava nears sea. Oh, that's on the Canary Islands. So much of these things going on, you know, these natural disasters, so many of them. Nearly 500,000 South Sudanese affected by floods. India sees $2.7 billion in Afghan heroin amid Taliban takeover chaos. Let me move quickly to the entertainment page. Angela Bamford, others honored at 2021 Ghana Models Award. Lisa Ewuku of House of Gold fame, all grown now. And be kind to my kids when I'm no more. That's Joyce Jijo. Oh, Patience Achanu named African female business leader. Congratulations, Patience. At the back page, it pains me, but hearts must show character. TT Brothers advises Spurs have so many problems to solve. Barca coach under pressure. Martinez Xavi set for takeover. That's it for the Daily Guide. And that's about it today, isn't it?
Let's get to My Joy Online and see what stories we have on the...
Okay, maybe really quickly, because Gomez has said that we should...
Yeah, so My Joy Online, Ablakwa to file another urgent question in Parliament over Akufo-Addo's extravagant foreign trips. Okay, so that matter came up. He's always saying that the president went to the UN General Assembly in New York in another luxury jet.
Okay.
Yeah, even though the jet is available. Missing pregnant woman in Takrady found at Axim. Police interdicts 4 officers who assaulted Tamale resident over illegal connection. 12 arrested over violence at Treponi over MMDC's nomination. And we're tired of directionless leadership. Fix the country protester.
Yeah, I think he said that yesterday when we interviewed
MMDC's appointment, there is no basis or justification for disturbances that Dan Botry, the minister, and hissing SDG's implementation to build fairer, prosperous world, Akufo-Addo urging world leaders. And public workers in Tamale protest over 2020-2021 percentage in wages increments.
All right, looks good. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Oweko Ampafo is here with the sports, and of course the show continues after that. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM Sport with me, Horik Wampof. We do start off from the local scene where Ashanti Gold President Kweku Frimpong and CEO Emmanuel Frimpong faced the Ghana Football Association's ban after being charged for misconduct during the 2020-2021 Ghana Premier League match week 34 game against Inter Allies. We do have more for you in the following Joy Sports report.
The president of Ashanti Gold SC, Kweku Frimpong, and chief executive officer of the club, Emmanuel Frimpong, have both been charged on 3 counts of misconduct for match manipulation in their 2020-21 Ghana Premier League Week 34 match against Inter Allies at the Obuasi Lenclay Stadium on July 17, 2021. The president and chief executive officer of the club were both charged for breaching Article 27, subsection 1 and 27, subsection 2 of the GFA Code of Ethics and Article 18, subsection 1 of the GFA Disciplinary Code and Article 34.5a and 34.5b of the Ghana Premier League regulations. The 2 club officials are expected to submit their statements of defense to the charges on or before Wednesday, September 22, after which the GFA Disciplinary Committee will adjudicate their cases.
We'll be keeping you up to date on how that story develops, but let's move to boxing, where in its bid to develop boxing in the country, the Ghana Boxing Authority will pay companies who sponsor boxers 15% of their pairs. Speaking to Joy Sports in an exclusive interview, GBA President Abraham Kote Nikwe believes this incentive will attract corporate Ghana.
Good aspect of it is, most of the time the corporate bodies ask something. What is our benefit? This is going to be their benefit. When they come in to partner us, they are going to make 15% on the purse of the boxer. So you come in and invest on the boxer, then we build the boxer to the world level. Already, there will be a contract of 5 years. So the corporate body now is not throwing his money away, but rather in the next 2 years, he will start making his money that he put in. Whilst he's going to have ambassadorship of the boxer, he's going to have adverts, international level, because if we are going to dress in the company's logo and other things. So now it is not going to be like you put in money and you don't see the money. The next year, you are going to get your money with the help of the GBA, the corporate bodies, and the individual managers. 3 teams coming together with the support of the coaches. We are going to make a lot of world champions. I've told Ghanaians, we know our strength. Our strength is boxing. Let us pay attention to boxing. Then people keep talking about us world level. You can call from DK Poison, Azuma Nelson, Nanayo Akonedu, Ike Bazooka, Alfred Korte, Kome. You can call Game Boy, Emmanuel Tego. You can call the Hitter. You can call Agboko. You can call Joshua. You can call Dogbe. You know, we have a lot of names to call when it comes to boxing. Other disciplines are struggling to take us there. We are begging Ghana, we are begging the corporate bodies and the government that we beg them. Let them pay attention to the sports that bring glory to Ghana, and that is boxing. We beg them to come and support boxing. And we promise them within a year or 2, the Ghana Black Fighters, which is a team of 12, will produce 8 world champions out of this team.
Well, welcome to AM Business Today, courtesy EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. And today, Charles Aite talks to the major players of the Beyond the Return program, including young and promising multidisciplinary artist Oscar Maoli Ewuku, whose work of art appeals mostly to the diaspora.
Ghana is ready for investment. The words of government as an aggressive campaign to attract foreign capital continues. It started with a successful year of return in 2019, which saw hundreds of Ghanaians in the diaspora, including African Americans, trace their roots home. This time around, government is taking the initiative a notch higher in an ambitious program beyond the return. The 10-year program has been given a legal backing through the Diaspora Engagement Policy. Akwesi Ewa Abibio is the Director of Diaspora Affairs at the Office of the President.
This engagement policy defines the framework and the operators and the agreed action plan that has to take place to enable the diaspora to be brought in as part of a partner to our development.
Great, impressive. But of course, others might also be of the view that why don't you center your energies on angel investors in Ghana rather than having to, stretch so thin to reach out to the diaspora and investment?
I think we are not saying that we are not going to reach out to the angel investors as well. These two things are not mutually exclusive. That means that you can do both. You really have an asset outside of your borders that you can reach out to. When we talk about the Ghana without aid, beyond aid, we are looking at a situation where we are looking to see some deficits in our financing, in our investments, and therefore we need to look beyond that initiative to see how we can reach out to people that have got interest in Ghana. Remember, they are Ghanaians. They happen to just be outside of the borders of the country. And for the historical Africans, for those who are showing interest in coming back to Africa, they present an opportunity, a potential to tap into. So I see those two things working together. The angels aspect of reaching out to, partners and working with them is all, in the same bowl. And we are looking to, have a nice soup.
The coronavirus has had a toll on tourism. Ghana is no exception, as the tourism sector lost billions of cedis to the pandemic. Akwesi Abibio says there is a plan to deepen interest.
This ending of this month will be the beginning of Panafest. We are again expecting people to start streaming in, gradually. It looks like once travel restrictions have been lifted in the U.S., and we also have a very good record of our management of the COVID, people have got the confidence that they should be coming back to us, and that we should also be putting in the measures that will enable us to contain any future outbreak. That is the key thing for us. With the meeting of the management of the COVID team on a regular basis to assess the situation and to review what has to be done, we have every confidence that we can manage going forward. Of course, that's what we are all aiming at, to bring them back anyway.
But do you have a plan?
Yeah, that is what we are talking about there. This whole diaspora engagement policy is, and part of this beyond the return, is to fashion out some concrete plans that will deal with these issues.
As government embarks on an ambitious beyond the return initiative to woo diaspora investment, a Ghanaian in the diaspora, Francis Flair, who is a customer service specialist based in the U.S., says the success of this program rests on how strict and impressive customer service will be in the country. I sat with him for a discussion on customer service through the eyes of the diaspora.
It's only in Ghana the business think they're doing the customer a favor. But if you are there for the customer, you care about them, they will even care about you more, right? I know customers who just come in to do business because they knew the business was struggling. They want the business to be around when this was over. So yes, they may not have laid off employees as much as they did, but customers are going to do whatever it takes to keep the brands they love. And that's why you have to be looking for loyalty, not satisfaction.
Great. So I want us to end this discussion on a broad perspective. Once again, beyond the return happens this year, and it's into somewhere next year.
Yes.
And with that comes the pressure on government to, as you rightly stated, maintain the standards that saw the year of return successful. From your perspective as a customer service professional, so what instruments should government use to ensure that we're not just bringing in diaspora investment, but we're also keeping them in the medium to long term? I wanted to speak to the national pressures of customer service.
Yes, I think we need to start focusing on the customer. We need to remember who the boss is at the end of the day. It's not the businesses, it's not the government. It's the people who come in to spend money with us, right? The people who keep the business going. And so in order to move forward and to make sure that we have the people coming back, recommending and referring us to their friends and family to keep this economy going, we need to make sure that we are focusing on them and doing whatever it takes to make them happy.
How can we make them happy?
Well, you listen to them and you make sure that you systematize those standards, right? It cannot be one of those things like flavor of the month, right? We just did it for this time alone. Because what is going to happen is the message gets out, they come back, it's not the same, and then they go back and say a different thing, and then we lose it all at the end of the day. So it's important that we are systematizing those standards, but that is going to take some time. Are we ready for that? I don't know. Do we know how to do that? I don't know. Are we willing to invest in it? I don't know. I mean, that's a question for every business to answer. If this is important to you, if it's about your primary aim of acquiring and retaining customers, then I think that should be very, very important to you as a business.
What I mostly do is appropriate inspirations from the Ewa and Asante Kente cloth and also the spider's web, where I've used in the Edinkra symbology and my own traditional patterns and symbols, which I call anansinism. So it is this process that I appropriate on the human skin. I paint on the human skin actually, and with the knowledge behind that is I want to preserve all the collective knowledge and wisdom by our ancestors due to the gradual evolution of our contemporary culture, because each and every day we are still actually getting new inspiration from different cultures, and we tend to forget our previous traditions and all that. So I just want to keep all that knowledge in.
Oscar Mawuli Awuku is an upcoming disciplinary artist whose works have high demand in the diaspora. Being an expressionist artist, Mawuli details how economic paths for the industry will be created through the Beyond the Return program.
The Beyond the Return should throw more light to artisans or artists on the continent, because it shouldn't purposely be about the cultural performances, but if artists are given a chance to actually perform, because performance actually cuts across all aspects of the arts. So if we are given a chance to actually perform, it's going to bring out a great excitement to not only the cultural sector in the arts industry.
The tourism minister, Mohammed Awal, is upbeat about the prospects of this initiative.
We've launched the Beyond the Return program. The last quarter of this year, we're expecting 250,000 people from around the world, and they will come here. General Manager, let us keep that extraordinary Ghanaian hospitality. Let us train our people. Let us make sure that Ghana becomes Sanashore, the most valuable brand in Africa. So that over the next 10 years, we would say that we will contribute a lot to making Ghana an invaluable contribution to tourism in Africa. We want to eat Ghana, we want to sell Ghana. As a ministry, as governments, we embarked on a domestic tourism drive to bring a lot of people, Ghanaians, to go around. I want to urge you and to entreat you that help us get Ghanaians to go around.
Close to $3 billion was gained from the year of return in 2019. Amid the coronavirus pandemic, Akwesi Ewia Abibio is hopeful the 10-year Beyond the Return will rake in triple what was gained in 2019.
I'm excited that we have the opportunity to do this once more for the next 10 years. And that we have a team in place, and that we are going to be engaging the diaspora, and they should look forward to us coming up with programs that will really excite them to come over. But we are not just looking to see that they come over and just go back, but they have repeated visits, and that they invest in Ghana, that they eat Ghana, wear Ghana, drink Ghana, everything Ghana continues to be the agenda. I think with our current level of development, with us remaining, the best place to invest in Africa, not just in Africa, possibly with the best growth of our economy. We provide the opportunities for investors to have a look at what we are doing and to be part of it. With all the discoveries that we are making in our lithium, fields and oil fields, and with the vast sector of the agricultural land that is begging for us to fully utilize it, with all the technologies that are available that are going to enable the diaspora to do virtual farming. We are entreating the people in the diaspora to be part and parcel of this forward journey.
For Joy Business, I'm Charles Aite reporting.
All right, so this is still the AM show, and time now to follow up on the move by Ghana to want to produce vaccines locally. It's become really, really necessary after the global vaccine shortage brought on by a decision of the world's richest, the most powerful countries. They decided to grab for themselves more vaccines than they could ever need, and also by the decision of India, where most of the world's vaccines are produced to halt exports. This morning, we'll be speaking with Professor William Ampofo, his secretary of the Presidential Vaccine Manufacturing Committee, to get to find out how far along we've come with the project. He joins us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Professor Ampofo.
Yes, good morning.
And I understand you're out of the country.
Yes, we had a couple of meetings and on a visit to the European Union in Brussels.
All right. So how far, first of all, I just want to understand exactly what the mandate is, what the committee is supposed to do as far as the production of vaccines is concerned. Are we going to try to get the license to produce the vaccines, or we want to go through from the development, starting with the development of the vaccine itself?
Thank you very much for having me on the program this morning. The vision of the president is straightforward. He would like Ghana to become self-sufficient in vaccine production to meet our national and, if possible, regional needs. So the committee was charged with the task of various terms of reference, and has been in place since February that it was set up. And we think that there are 5 basic strategies that are required, to achieve this vision of self-sufficiency in vaccine manufacturing, development, production in Ghana. First of all, is to establish domestic vaccine, manufacturing. We do not make vaccines. We have a vibrant pharmaceutical industry. So the first strategy is to establish domestic vaccine manufacturing. In order to have domestic vaccines that are, credible, meet international standards, our Food and Drugs Authority must have the ability to release these vaccines, to certify that these vaccines are truly meeting the international quality required. That's WHO good manufacturing practice. You talked about research and development. That is the foundation of vaccine development. So we want to strengthen our research and development base in Ghana, academia, research institutions, and that is really critical. And of course, funding is required to do this. So we want to establish the partnerships, the agreements that will give us the funding to cover these activities. And then most importantly, we must establish the critical human resource capacity that is required to drive this project. So not just research, but also the technical know-how that will man these plants that will make these vaccines. So in a nutshell, this is what the committee has fashioned. And we think that the National Vaccine Institute, as a one-stop secretariat, providing, linking up all these issues to do with vaccines would be the best approach going forward. So this is what the committee has come up with. And basically, the discussions with various partners are moving forward. And as you're aware, there's going to be a stakeholder consultation on the 30th of September, where we will have varied inputs into the process that will go forward and eventually should be laid before Parliament.
All right, so 2 things that you've talked about, which has to do with the human resource that's needed to get this going and also the funding. Would you say we have the human resource, or you, as part of the work, you want to find out if indeed we have the human resource?
Well, the committee has done a situation analysis. We've looked at the existing capacity in country. We've had proposals from academia. We've had proposals also from industry, both domestic and internationally. And we are convinced that, yes, we do have what it takes to move forward with this project to make vaccines in Ghana. You may not know it, but we did make vaccines before, animal vaccines, at the Veterinary Service Directorate. And we've had various clinical trials. Some are ongoing for vaccines in Ghana. I come from an excellent research institute, the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. We do a lot of work with the West Africa Center for Cell Biology. We have centers at CSR. We have centers at KNUST, the Kumasi Center for Research in Tropical Medicine. So, and we have, also a lot of research happening in the University of Cape Coast. UHAS is also coming up. The president was in Ho recently. So we do have the human potential to actually move this forward.
All right, and how about the technology? As part of your work, I believe that you also want to look at the technologies that are available for the producing or development of these vaccines and whether we're going for one or the other.
This is a really important question. So different technologies are evolving. And if you've been noting the kind of COVID vaccines that have been developed, incredible reflection of man's capacity moving forward now, advanced technology, the different vaccines that are available. It's part of the work. We're doing studies on fill-finish technology. We're also doing studies on market analysis. And we're informed and motivated by the fact that in 2027, Ghana will graduate from support from the Gavi Alliance, which currently supplies vaccines for our EPI program. So it's looking at appropriate technology, finding the suitable partnerships, but beneficial partnerships that will avail the technology for us. We actually have in the roadmap that we are going to be discussing with various stakeholders, short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. And one critical need that we've identified now are COVID vaccines. So the appropriate technology that will enable us to access bulk COVID vaccines, do fill-finish applications to make it available is one option that we are considering for the short term.
All right, so that's interesting. I was actually coming to the short-term bit. So essentially, we're looking at maybe getting the license to produce the vaccines, manufacture the vaccines locally, to start with.
Yes, vaccine manufacturing, the actual production will be private sector led. So we have received, the committee has received various proposals. Government is fully supportive of, private local ventures that will be able to access, a COVID vaccine and produce it locally in line with our target to have over 20 million of the population vaccinated. That is the target for this year. So we're looking at how within 2 years' time we can have COVID vaccines made locally by, by the private sector with full support from government. You're right. The issues of licensing, the issues of technology transfer, and all those will be worked out by the, appropriate agencies supporting these companies. As I mentioned, the committee has received various proposals. Some of them are very promising. Some of the local companies have indeed done a lot of work, and we are very happy to see that we can engage with international partners and move this process forward.
How long do you think it's going to take for us to get to this point, as saying the short-term goal that we're looking at?
So the roadmap for vaccine manufacturing in Ghana currently has 2 years as the short-term goal. Within 2 years, we hope that we will establish at least one vaccine manufacturing plant for COVID-19 vaccines. We expect that the FDA, within 2 years, will be able to acquire the capacity to do lot release of vaccines manufactured in Ghana. We hope that within 2 years, we would have established tech transfer that would support this local vaccine manufacturing plant. And of course, there needs to be some strong financial package also established at the same time to support this process. We cannot also move forward without identifying suitable human resource. We have a program that we want to start by doing an exchange training of Ghanaian biomedical, biotech, experts with pharmaceutical partners, so that we will, in 2 years, have moved forward with establishing a critical human resource base. We are also encouraging, would like to see, and will fully support specific programs for vaccine research and development in at least 3 of our academic or research institutions. And we have received very solid proposals so far from some of them.
You mentioned proposals from some companies. Are you prepared to tell us these companies that you're looking at or dealing with?
I think we have DK Vaccines that has recently been established. We also have had a strong proposal from Phytorica Limited. We also have Atlantic Life Sciences that has come up. These are some of the local companies that have really stepped up and are looking to have credible programs in place moving forward.
And I know that some of the COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers have been also looking towards Africa. Are there any that we're looking at partnering so that in the short term we can have them setting up some manufacturing units here in Ghana?
I think the Food and Drug Board has registered 6 of these COVID vaccines or so, and the committee is very much interested in working with any of these vaccines that are WHO pre-qualified for emergency use. And indeed, Ghana has used AstraZeneca, we've used Sputnik, we've recently received Moderna, and
Johnson & Johnson.
Johnson & Johnson as well. And we're very hopeful that we could have a public-private partnership that would utilize any of these vaccines going forward.
Now, there's also the issue of funding. Where are we sourcing the funding from to make this possible?
So I think the commitment of government has been fully demonstrated by the allocation of $25 million in this year's budget by the Ministry of Finance. And that is one critical aspect that we are looking at, working out what the numbers would be in terms of establishing the National Vaccine Institute, in terms of getting the FDA to have full capability for vaccine release, and also specific programs in some of the research institutions that would drive, vaccine R&D forward. The National Vaccine Institute will serve as a one-stop shop, and we have a very close partnership with the Ghana Investment Promotion Center that has worked with some of the international partners to actually help us move to this stage of the roadmap. So that's why the discussion on the roadmap with various stakeholders on the 30th of September is going to be a very important platform to demonstrate, the determination, the milestones that government has set out, and attract, partnerships that will provide the funding for us to fulfill this program that we've set out for the next 10 years.
All right, and this conversation has become really important because of the challenges we're having with the global vaccine supply. I'd want you to enlighten us on what the situation is right now and where the chances of we getting vaccines coming through, as in the country being able to actually procure its own vaccines.
I think that's a different conversation.
I understand, but from where you sit, I believe that
the discussions and the negotiations are to enable us to produce our own vaccines. And one first short-term goal is to access bulk vaccine and do fill finish in Ghana, so that we will be able to be in line with the program to have 20 million of Ghana's population vaccinated against COVID. So in the short term, that is a critical target. And we are having discussions with various partners, various agencies that will enable us to satisfy that, objective. The procurement business of vaccines is a totally different, approach that is being handled by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance. So the committee chaired by Professor Frimpong Boakye is exploring how within the short-term, medium-term, and long-term, Ghana can make vaccines. Of course, the sustainability of this project depends on market access, satisfying the quality standards, and then ensuring that our own domestic expanded program of immunization, noting that we will graduate from Gavi support in 2027, we establish a pipeline that will produce vaccines, at an affordable price for our national needs. However, we do know that our pharmaceutical industry has started export within the sub-region. And so we are hoping that we will be able to establish a market system where, in sync with the other groups in the sub-region, and indeed the African Union has started a conversation on vaccine manufacturing in the continent and is looking at regional hubs. So of course, any long-term strategy will have to understand how sub-regional or regional market access for vaccines produced in Ghana would be a strong consideration. So this is something that we're looking at in terms of vaccine manufacturing. Current vaccine procurement is done by a different group, and I'm not party to that.
All right. Now, so we're having to do this because of the global vaccine shortage. Will anything change if the market changes and vaccines all of a sudden become so much more available?
That's why I referred you to the Gavi graduation. The issue of COVID-19 has not changed the Gavi graduation. In fact, COVAX and the other partners, COVAX set up by UNICEF and the other partners, WHO, to enable developing countries to have access to COVID-19 vaccines. And that in itself has showed us the difficulty in the international vaccine supply system. So regardless of what happens with COVID-19, actually it has enabled and started a conversation on African countries making their own vaccines so that they will be able to have national health security. We have over 13 antigens in our EPI program, and this is an important conversation to understand how going forward we would be more self-reliant, self-sufficient on vaccines that are required, not just for our EPI program, but when the next outbreak or next pandemic occurs. In the sub-region, we have an ongoing clinical trial for Lassa fever. We had a scare of Ebola next door in Cote d'Ivoire recently. So vaccine self-sufficiency, producing our own vaccines, is something that has become a very important project. And we are very happy that His Excellency the President has made this a priority and has charged us to ensure that within the strategy, within a strategic roadmap that addresses long-term self-sufficiency, we will be able to push forward with this.
All right, thank you very much, Professor William Ampofo. I want to also believe that one of the reasons why this has become really important is because of this myth going round that vaccines are something that's produced from the West to want to, eradicate the population in Africa. So it'd be good if we're producing our own.
Yes, of course. Remember that Senegal has been making yellow fever vaccines for a long time. And we're looking at all these issues of quality and safety and being able to ensure our own national health security. COVID-19 has taught us that, and we've seen that even for a new infection or a new infectious agent that spreads rapidly, vaccines are the best tool. I know that a lot of us are alive today, those of us over 50, over 60 years old, because of the vaccines we took when we were younger. And this public health tool is truly an important intervention that we must have going forward. And so vaccines, making them on our own will just be an additional arsenal in our public health capacity.
All right. Should we be expecting any good news when you return from Brussels?
The trip has been very, very productive so far, and we look forward to briefing His Excellency and the other members of the committee. And we're especially looking forward to the interaction with the various targeted stakeholders and the general public on the 30th of September, where we hope that we will have a lot of rich inputs that will improve our strategy and then ensure that together all of us move forward in trying to make vaccines in Ghana for the benefit of our people to keep us safe.
All right, thank you very much, Professor William Ampofo. Professor William Ampofo is secretary to the Vaccine Manufacturing Committee, which is headed by Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, and he's been enlightening us on work being done so far as the committee is concerned. And as he indicated, we're expecting some good news on his return from Brussels, where he's also working. They're working with the work that they're doing work regarding what the committee has to do. Coming up also on the AM show, we touch base with the Fix the Country movement on the Takrady demonstration and whether they made the impact they were hoping for. Do stay tuned in. This is still the AM show.
Our leaders that have sent some people to come and tell us to fix ourselves, that we have started fixing ourselves. That is why we don't want to make any filth in Takrady. We are making sure that as we go for this demonstration, we clear every dirt we make here in Takrady so that we make Takrady a clean place, as Akufo-Addo wanted to make Accra the cleanest place. But the fact is, some of the police officers are trying to distract what we are doing. How does Aboboya, which is following us to collect all the trash we are making, becomes a security threat? How does an Aboboya just coming after us, clearing all the trash we are making? Because people are drinking, people are eating. We are going to make filth in the cities, and they are following us to make sure that they clean all the filth we are making. The security is saying the Aboboya can follow us and collect all the garbages we are making. How does an Aboboya rider following us, collecting the garbage, becomes a security threat?
Bauxite, Bibian Nanchan, lithium. Lithium, 150 billion US dollars. 77 progress. Why do engagement? What do you have, Bruni? Say, Bruni, in fact, normal 15% for 60 years. 60 years. Oh, Munya Casano. 60 years. Nanadu Bewako, Bawumia Bewu, John Roman Mahabewu. Omo po omaina bro apo echiri ba intimate na we me mama council ani nya wo no de ka anya sabi ani America man pe ni ye we ya fe go ni tuaku no o ma pe na do e ko Guinea akwa ka kire Guinea fo say there should be peace in Guinea and say papa wo wi say Japan na do wi say Japan no odi ache ba wu nua nso edi the seven kwase asem na wo weja wo ma ho wo mesu no wa fa plane asa charter plane e ko tu wu nua ne fo abra untu won solve problem ye wo be go school akwa wi a no wa be join ni unemployed graduate association yes yempe ade aye bisa ade kese bia mama ka kwan deadliest road in Africa Accra Cape Coast kwan e kuni pa chen ka kwan bia wo Africa aden papa eti na wase baba property na wase yes Ghana monyo mani ye maye enye MP NDC monyo mani ye 777 epaprafo omunyina obia yes rama na mo so yani enna ebe ka kasa biem
Right, so those were some sights and sounds from the Fix the Country demonstration in Takrady, which happened yesterday. And joining us now for more on this is Oliver Baka-Vomowo, who's a convener of the Fix the Country movement. And Dr. Kwame Asante is a political scientist at the University of Ghana. Good morning to you both. And thank you for making time to speak with us. I'm well. So I'll start with you, Oliver. How did the demonstration go for you?
Israel, you failed to now add the new title I've been given, which is Osajefo, and I must insist on it as well.
Oh, who gave you the title?
The people of the Western region have decided to bestow on me Osajefo, which I'm very appreciative of.
Can I just stick with the Oliver Baka-Vomowo that I know?
Oliver Baka-Vomowo, yes. I am appreciative of what's going on. I think it's a difficult conversation to have for people who have become so used to a certain way of things for over 30 years, and giving them and making them believe in the authenticity of their own voices, making them believe that just asking for more would lead to something, making them believe that the more you come out with the street, something can change. It's been a difficult process and a difficult conversation to have. But as much as we've committed ourselves to that process, as much as we decided to have that conversation, I think people are rebuilding their faith. I think people are beginning to see that really there's a new dynamic and there's a new energy in the air, and that they're having a sense of belief that persons in leadership will respond positively. The persons will really engage the conversations around how do we move the country substantively forward. And I say this particularly for a political class that is always being theoretical about the youth bulge, about youth unemployment being a security threat, about the uprising and potential African Spring. And we say this as throwaway comments to sound smart, to sound as experts, but we never give it a practical resonance. And that is where I'm hoping that seeing this and seeing a lot of young people continue to want to engage in the democratic process would open up pathways where we take people's problems seriously, that we deal with these concerns as a priority of our democracy. But if we don't, we as young people do not know any other way to engage political leadership, to reforming the state.
All right, so when this demonstration started, or when this movement started, there was a number of familiar faces that we saw. It looks like we're not seeing them as often as we used to, and it doesn't look like I saw them at the Takrady demonstration. Where are they?
You know, one of the reasons of building something like this is that we are committed to the idea that this is a leaderless process. And by that, we mean that the persons who are involved in the project of speaking, of engaging themselves, have to be the individuals themselves, have to be Ghanaians. You know, so many people have said this. And I think even yesterday we were observing Kwame Nkrumah Day, which is one of the reasons why we came down to the Western region, that Kwame Nkrumah himself talked about, nobody can give the people freedom. They have to claim it for themselves. So what we have done is that every place we go, we are making sure that people do not create a cult in the movement. We're not building a cult around personalities or individuals or anything of that regard. And that we are bringing in new people continuously and every day and having them take ownership of their own advocacy and their own freedom. And so by doing this, and we already told you from the very beginning that one, we're committed to a leaderless process. That two, this looks nothing like the different ways we've mobilized in the past. And so by doing this and continuing to change the persons involved and the persons speaking, we ensure that there's a less risk of capture. And I think that a lot of people who are going to be studying this, and perhaps Dr. Issa can speak to this as well, about the novelty of the way in which we're mobilizing, which will inform how generations engage political systems in Ghana and across Africa generally.
But Oliver, interestingly, you have been a permanent fixture because we've seen you across in all of. So how come you're there, but the others are not being seen? Because you're emerging as the natural leader, the front runner.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think every movement needs a lawyer. And when you're dealing with demonstrations and you're dealing with police engagements and things like that, I have decided that I don't do the kind of law where I make rich people richer. That the law for me is a duty to serve people, and I'm using my law in the service of persons who have been made voiceless. So many people go into law school and say they want to become voice for the persons who can unable to speak for themselves and never actually live that ethic. We spend our entire life chasing land cases from here to there that we never really reflect on the role of law and the way in which it can substantively bring justice to people. That is the service to the cause and my calling. It's not about leadership, it's not about being continuous fixture, but that as long as I've decided that I'm not going to be making money out of my law degree, that is what I'm going to always continue to do.
Let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asante into the conversation. Good morning to you once again, Dr. Asante. So you've seen the Fix the Country movement and the way they've been doing their things. And what do you make of yesterday's demonstration, first of all?
Yeah, thanks, Israel. I think yesterday it was well organized. And now if you follow the writings on the placards, they are getting their acts together, asking a few things to be done. For instance, fix the issue of corruption, deal with the killings in Takoradi, and so forth and so on. This is what an anomic pressure group does. You take a few things that you can handle in no time and deal with it very fast. And they are organizing along those lines. I think it's a good one. This will, bring government up to speed with that. And then government can also learn from what they are asking and fix it. These things they are asking, it's easy to handle within a short time. So if government is serious about it, I'm not sure it should take government a long time to fix it. So I think they are making progress, and that is how it has to be, because you see, democracy without criticisms is an empty democracy. You need people who are sitting on the touchlines to, as it were, guide you through the process, because everybody is part and parcel of the process, and that they have a stake in there. And government also owe it a duty to itself and to the people of this country to be able to respond to some of these things.
Dr. Asante, you say they're making progress. What is it that you're seeing that convinces you that progress is being made?
Yes, you recall the last meeting we had, they were talking about changing constitution, asking for the change of the political system and all that. These are very broad issues that you cannot confront within a short space of time. But now, typical anomic civil society organization, they're asking for very, very little things that are very germane to the governance architecture of this country. Issue of corruption, fix it.
But they haven't abandoned. They haven't abandoned the change the constitution bit. Or Oliver Bakavomo, is this something that you've abandoned?
No, I'm talking about
see,
what
I think
one
of the things that happens is that people often tend to read placards and determine that it is a sum total of what individuals are saying. What we have said is that we're going to the different parts of the country and we're engaging different folks in different parts of Ghana. We've come to the Western region, and Westerners are speaking to specific Western issues, right? And people have to translate governance to have a particular meaning in their lives. And the ways in which governance expresses itself in their lives express themselves, and you see them on placards. But it's a broader programmatic agenda which requires that justice must be sustained through the democratic and constitutional reforms. Everybody is talking about this. CDD is talking about constitutional overhaul. So it's not something so out of the world for us to continue to push on and demand for. But I think the mistake people make is that people are always looking for quick fixes. And doctors talked about something that can be fixed in a short term. The problems of this country is not going to happen, it's not going to be solved with quick fixes. It has to be broad, it has to be long term, and it has to be sustained. So we are committed to that sustenance. We have no interest in becoming a, anomic civil society organization in the traditional terms. And if that's what the people are expecting, we are sorry to disappoint. Because the broad range of those civil society organizations haven't brought the transformation and the liberation that people are asking for. I think that it has to be something much more broader, deeper, and truly reflect a sense of we know what is wrong with this country and we want to really get the basics right. That message continues to stay.
All right. So, Dr. Asante, they're still looking at a number of things. They're not looking for quick fixes, as he's saying.
Well, I think I've given my position on this at the last time we spoke, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But what I'm saying that take it or leave it, this is a economic civil society organization in the sense that there's no leadership. And as my colleague just said, at each point in time, wherever they find themselves, some people will lead the processes and all that. You know, this is a typical economic civil society organization.
But
Dr.
Sesante, how does this work though? I mean, how sustainable can it be that they're leaderless? It can work up to a point, but I think at some point it's going to just break apart, don't you think?
No, for such groups, there are people who urge them on, who float ideas, they discuss and all that. But you see, look at their modus of operandi. They are saying that wherever they get to, they talk about things that affect the people there. Then some people emerge naturally as leaders of that process at that particular point in time. So this is very typical of an economic civil society organization. But you see, for economic to survive, they don't need to, get on to programs that will take them a very long time to achieve. And that is just what I have said earlier on. You need something that you can put your hand around it and handle it in no time, because you see, the problem of sustenance becomes much, much difficult when you want to engage in that process. But they have their own scheme, and they know how to execute it. For me, the good news is that we are getting young people in the democratic process who are also alive to the processes, the problems that we have within the political space. And they are also want to contribute their quota through these processes where they vent out their grievances and they use the legal processes to champion them. For me, as a student of politics, I'm cool with that, provided they work within the framework of the law.
Now, Oliver, how far with the collection of signatures for the change in the constitution that you've been pushing? Hello, Oliver. All right, so we'll try and re-establish connection with Oliver Bakabomo. But I'll come to you, Dr. Kwame Sesante. So I asked the question if you said that you've seen progress, but I'd also want to find out, do you think that government is doing anything that suggests that it is actually paying attention to this movement?
Definitely so. You think what the people are expressing, government will turn a blind eye to that? No serious government will do that. Then the government will be very naive. And I'm not sure this government is like that. The government has taken political notice of what is going on. And I'm sure they are responding gradually. Some of the results we want to see immediately. We are not going to find that. It's going to be a gradual process, but we will be there. And I think I have no doubt in my mind that government has taken serious note of what is going on and trying to fix it gradually. Because these things have effects on not only the governance process, but also on elections. Elections, as I've said already some time ago, that it's nothing but contest of ideas and, more importantly, a referendum of your work. So if there are problems and you run away with, they will become albatross around your neck and then take your head off when we get to election. And I'm not sure any serious parties such as what MPP will sit down for this thing to slip through their fingers without taking political advantage of it. There are good things that the government can derive from this, i.e. trying to do the needful and then also improve their chances of breaking the eight, as they are always saying, and also instilling confidence within the political system. If government is able to do something to create employment for the youth, so that our brothers and sisters who are talking about unemployment, which is a reality, they are able to get jobs, who is not interested in that?
Okay, so it's one thing government taking notice of it, but it's another thing communicating. Oliver, I believe you're back on. I want to find out, do you see government sending any signal suggesting that they're paying attention to this movement?
I hope they are, right? That's what we elected them to do. But I have primarily, one of the things I've come to anticipate is that when we've gone through a lot of the places in the coasts of the Western region, a lot of the fisher folk have replaced the Ghana flag with foreign flags because a lot of them are saying that the state has no presence in their lives. And so there was only one boat out of about 100 that had a Ghana flag, together with other countries as well. And it translates for me as a person who do not want to get their hopes up about the country anymore. And I think that for me at this point, because I don't want to get my heart broken, and I'm a hopeless romantic, I don't want to get my heart broken, I've decided that I'll keep my faith and my trust in the people. And so the responses I'm looking for, I look for within the people that we speak to and citizens. Whether the government is reacting as people are expecting it to, or whether it's not doing it. Because I have no expectations of it, there's very little room left for me to be disappointed or any other thing. But continuing placing my faith in the people has yielded results. And I'm trusting that result, and I'm believing that as we continue to have conversations targeted at the people for them to wake up and to demand more, that is giving us the benefit we're asking for.
All right, and I was asking earlier about the collection of signatures to get the constitution changed. How far with that?
Yeah, so one of the things we have done is that, and for instance, having been in the Western region here, as one of the, perhaps the dead zones for internet or any connectivity. And internet has been such a challenge for such a major town and an oil producing region that I cannot understand or believe that we live in the same country with folks in this country. There's no, in this part of the country, it translates to so many ways in which they are disenfranchised and participating in the national conversation, or even gaining meaningful employment, which requires internet connectivity. And so because of this, we have devolved the process into an offline process as well, where we have fake notebooks and ledgers, where we are collecting signatures in addition to what is happening online. I think at this point, we are globally, in terms of the numbers we have, I think we're somewhere around 30,000. And we announced this about less than a month ago. That is very, very encouraging. And we are trusting that as we go into the offline spaces where persons have no connection to internet, and we continue to sign individuals one after a time, without the budget that census officers had from the Electoral Commission, we would be able to reach our 1 million mark in good time.
All right, but I'm sure you have been encouraged by the take-up, because we've had other organizations who've been speaking to the same cause, calling for the Constitution to be looked at again.
Well, you see, and that's one of the things I'm surprised about, the lack of imagination of our political system. Because when we talk about the 1 million signatures, everybody for some reason said, but show me in fine blueprint in the current Constitution how you reform the Constitution with 1 million signatures. And I'm always very much surprised by the lack of imagination. The fact that so many people are speaking up today, so many people are asking for this same constitutional overhaul, tells you about the staying power of ideas. And that is the beauty of what we are doing. Let me give you another example. Before we started talking, we had gone so many years in undercurrent administration and even extending a little back, where nobody was talking about demonstrations or anything of that, agitations of any sort. And when we continue to fight and push, it seems like we've opened the floodgates. Like everybody now wants to go on a demonstration. Everybody wants to do a civil action. That is the beauty of being able to encourage people to find their voices. So this is what we are seeing, and that dynamic will continue along the ecosystem and also along the food chain as more and more groups come up and demand this. We don't want paternity or ownership over the project. We want Ghanaians to own it. We want Ghanaians to demand it. And the 1 million signatures is only symbolic on our part, but the broader echo of it would reach out 30 million Ghanaians.
All right, thank you very much, Oliver Baka-Vomo, who's one of the conveners for the Fix the Country movement. Thank you for speaking with us. And also thank you to you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Unless you have something else you'd want to say before we get to go. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.
Well, I think I'm fine. We are just observing. What time, I'm sure we'll know all the fine details that they have for us. And then we will also follow. And then we interrogate the issues.
All right. Thank you very much. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist with the University of Ghana. We've also been speaking with Oliver Baka-Vomo of the Fix the Country movement. You're watching the AM show. We have more coming your way. Don't go away. All right, so you're still on the AM show, and one of the stories I've been telling you that we'll be talking about has to do with the pregnant woman was kidnapped in Takoradi. A number of the newspapers have captured the story on their front pages.
Mm-hmm.
And virtually all the newspapers have that story.
Yeah.
And so we've been going into it, and I've been also asking questions and doing my checks to find out what exactly is happening, because the story, it appears, is a little...
it's a little unclear. I think that's what you want to say.
Yes.
It's a little unclear that a kidnapped woman... Let me just give you a quick recap before Israel continues. So a woman apparently was pregnant and she was kidnapped. When she was kidnapped, she was about 9 months pregnant. And the story continues that, you know, the kidnappers took her to some unknown location, which she cannot disclose, which she cannot remember. And at some point, she had a baby. And according to a statement that was written by her, because apparently she cannot talk, this baby has been taken away from her. Now, she was found looking blank and unable to speak. So that's what the story has been so far. This morning, during the newspaper review, Israel was telling us that in some of the checks that he had made, he wasn't too sure if the woman had actually had a baby, because she was at the Axim General Government Hospital, And you know how it is, once you have a kid, there's so many telltale signs that your body has gone through the process of incubating a child for 9 months and going through the labor process. So that's where we are now. I think really just trying to establish whether she actually was pregnant, whether she actually has given birth, and then try to, you know, bring some light to the shadows of the whole disappearance.
Yeah, because I was also thinking when they said she had been found with other babies and that she was no longer pregnant, I thought there's some things that should be quite obvious.
Mm-hmm.
If some people kidnap you and they kept you in a place, you're pregnant and you deliver, I would want to believe that wherever you delivered, because it wasn't an ideal
situation,
hospital environment, you would have delivered and it would have been in a rushed manner and there'll be blood all over you.
Of course. I'm even wondering, I mean, if she was kidnapped and she was in an undisclosed location or whatever, there are lots of elements of the labor process that you really cannot do without a certain amount of technicality. So, for example, the cutting of the cord, you know, which is number one, you know, the clamping and the cutting to avoid bleeding. The birth of the placenta, you know, how did that happen? Because you're usually, after you have the baby, you're given an injection so that the placenta can come out easy. So there's the birth of that. Or she's still bleeding, because you do bleed.
Yes.
And for a few days after, you know, the birth. Some people, weeks, you know, your breasts are gorged. I was thinking engorged or gorged. You know, gorged. You know, there's milk. There's pain. You're not. I mean, you've just had a baby. You know, it's they say it's like 56 bones breaking at the same time in your body. So it's not something that you kind of like just suddenly, you know,
wake up and
exactly.
Yeah.
But if we're not seeing any of these signs, you know, and we can't really answer any of these questions, and there's a real problem there.
Yeah. Except if you speak with the family, apparently the husband is saying that, yes, my wife was pregnant. And the mother of this person too is also saying that, yes. And the neighbors are also saying that, yes, we saw her and she was pregnant. So
I mean, so a big stomach or swollen stomach does not always equal a pregnancy. So, I mean, the questions that I would ask is, you know, did the husband go for a scan? You know, does he have the picture of the scan? You know, did he see the pregnancy test? You know, was it really positive? Did they go to the hospital? Did he hear the heartbeat of the baby? Or was it really just that, okay, her stomach, you know, had gotten big, and so the assumption is that she was pregnant?
Anyway, so these are all questions that we're all asking. And this is because we're trying to get to speak with the police on record. The police have been unavailable, but yes, we'll continue trying to get to see what we can get. We've also been reaching out to the family members. In fact, we've been trying to reach the husband we haven't been successful so far. But yes, if we have him, these are questions that we would want to ask, because it appears the story is a bit interesting. We're not saying that it's not true. We're just saying that it's interesting, and there's some questions that need to be asked about it. But yes, you're here on the AM show, and we're trying to get all the answers to these questions. If we get them, we'll share them with you. In the meantime, it's actually Seth Kwame Boateng's birthday.
Yes, it is.
The award-winning Seth Kwame Boateng.
The troublesome Seth Kwame Boateng.
He is troublesome.
Yeah.
He's always on my case.
Everybody's on. You deserve it.
Oh, why though?
Because.
Because?
Because it's a full statement.
Really?
Yes, a full sentence, because.
It can never be a full.
It is, because full stop.
Anyway, so it's your birthday, Seth Kwame Boateng, and would like to wish you the very best in life. You've achieved quite a bit, and I'm sure you'd want to achieve a whole lot more. So we pray that it happens for you.
Yes.
So
it's also Peter Senu's birthday. He's our OT regional correspondent, yes?
Our OT regional correspondent,
yes.
Right. Happy birthday to you, Peter, as well.
And Dr. Kenneth Boateng, a.k.a. Labaja. Labaja? How do you pronounce that?
Labaja. Yes.
Labaja. Happy birthday to you. He's an economics lecturer at GIMPA. And the message, of course, is age graciously and may your impacts be generational. We love you dearly. It's from your wife, children, family, and students. So happy birthday to you. And if it's your birthday to you, well, happy birthday to you. Hope that you have a fantastic day.
Okay, so we have this song for you, which we would want you to enjoy as you celebrate your birthday. Seth Kwame Boateng, and to all the others, you're celebrating your birthday with, you share the same birthday as Seth Kwame Boateng. You must feel good about it. All right. Right, so that track goes to Seth Kwame Boateng.
Israel. No.
What?
So Israel is trying to intercept this message. There's a message to you from Seth Kwame Boateng.
Why would he send me, if I played it, if we played...
Do you want to hear the message, or do you want to argue about why there shouldn't be a message?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So this is Seth Kwame Boateng to you. People are saying you should send me Momo. Then he drops his Momo number. Yeah. That is what people are saying. People are really watching you, Israel. Okay. Yes. You should do it on air for the world to see.
We should do what on air?
Not we. There's no we in this. There's no we in this. It's you.
I should do what on air?
Send the Momo, because people are saying you should
but if I send the Momo on air, how will anybody know that
I'll take a screenshot. I'll verify. So the number is here. He sends the number.
I don't have Seth Kwame Boateng's number.
He said he's just sent it for...
This is unprofessional. Don't do these things on air. You know, we're professional broadcasters.
Listen, Seth said people are saying you should send him Momo, and they are watching, so do it for the world to see.
So I'm saying that we don't do these things. You see, I've been doing journalism for like...
Oh, look at you coming to pull out the grandpa card. You've been doing journalism for how many years?
For like 20 years. And we don't do these things. It's not professional.
I see.
To be sending Momo on air.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's Seth's birthday. It's a small...
I can take care of him when we're off air.
Okay, Seth, he says he'll take care of you when he's off air.
So
I'll come back to it tomorrow, because I'll check. So
yeah, I was trying to get some more information on this pregnant woman who...
the kidnapped pregnant woman found with the baby missing.
So there was this eyewitness who saw her after
the whole...
she was supposed to have been released.
Okay.
So let's get to listening to him and find out maybe some information he's sharing that we can get pick on some clues. All right, so we're having some challenges with the soundbite, so we're going to bring back that soundbite. But this an eyewitness, someone who saw this woman, who the kidnapped pregnant woman, who right after captivity, this is the first guy who saw him, apparently found her opposite some Jehovah's Witness church.
Yes.
And that's when Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we have that video.
Right, so let's go back.
So this is the eyewitness report.
When I got closer, she couldn't talk, but I could tell that she was mentally stable. She could only communicate through sign language. She later wrote on a paper that I should call her pastor, and later she wrote that she's from Takrady. She was not willing to eat and was only crying. Through her sign language, she told me she was tied and gagged, and she became unconscious, but as she struggled with her kidnappers, she lost her baby.
I see. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
This is quite different, you know, from the baby can't be found, which suggests that the baby is alive. You know, this eyewitness is saying that she said she lost her baby, which is that the baby died. And not that she was ready to give birth, but through the trauma of what she went through, she lost.
Yeah.
So she miscarried. So I think one of the important things to, questions to ask after we find out if she was actually pregnant is how far along she was.
Apparently 9 months.
Ah, yes, actually, that's in all the newspapers. Why did I miss that? So then the baby was stillborn. We don't know. There are lots of questions, a lot of questions.
Yeah, we don't know. All right, so we're still trying to get you those the answers to those questions, but right now we'll make way for
Ibiza, Ibiza, to
bring it.